K9 was in combat with the alien mind screen. Magnetic claws feeling for virus punch cards, pulling him into vertiginous spins. Agent K9, back. Stay out of those claws. Shift coordinate points. Shift coordinate points. K9 moved back into the combat area. The ticket that exploded posed little time, so I'll say good night. Pieces of Spanish flu wouldn't photo. Light the wind in green neon. You at the dog. The street blue rain. If you wanted a cup of tea with rose wallpaper, the dog turns. So many and so.
At this point in our researches, we intersected the Novia police.
Yes, when the going gets really tough, they call in the old doctor to quiet the marks. And he just raises his old blue hands and brings them down slow, touching all the marks right where they live, and the marks are quiet. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can only call the old doctor once. So be sure when you call him, this is really it. Because if you call the doctor twice, he quiets you. The old doctor reeled out onto the platform. Then he heard the screaming marks, and he steadied himself, and he drew all of it into him, and he stood up very straight and calm and gray as a wise old rat, and lifted his old blue hand shiny over the dirt, and he brought them down slow in the setting sun. And all the marks just stood there quiet. His cold old hands on their wrists and ankles, hands cold and blue as liquid air on wrist and ankle, just frozen there in a heavy blue mist of vaporized banknotes. So there they stand like dummies. They are dummies. And you let your heavy, cold, blue hands fall through them. Clunk. As word dust falls from demagnetized patterns, your spirals holding wrist and ankle where we came in. Now, some wise characters think they can call the old doctor twice. You see, son, in this business, you always have to find an angle. Yesterday, many thousand along High Street in massive treatment. Pay back the red lips. Oh, see the crown of the earth. Part with it.
The books are attractive little volumes that also will be distributed on newsstands for the public at large, and 14 other cities like the New York City idea so well, they plan to copy it in their school systems. Tuck Stadler, WINS News.
You've just heard a report from Dutch Statler on the city's school kids getting some new heroes in the new textbook project. We'll hear that report from Charlie Edwards coming up later on this particular section of our program. These are the big stories right now. It's Roderick in for Murphy as the city's new police commissioner. Dominican rebels claim they've captured one of our Marines as that topsy-turvy battle goes on. French President de Gaulle takes his case to the people of his country, plugging for a different power structure among the free world. And the city digs out ticker tape to the president of South Korea. And Congress wants a bigger and better major league setup. I'll be back with more sports stories in a moment.
This is Hal Sessler, WINS newsman in the steel-making city of Pittsburgh. I'm one of the nationwide string of correspondents who'll be covering the breaking stories for WINS News.
Plans Baseball Commissioner Ford Frick to expand the big leagues next year and put new teams into 4 cities. The congressman proposed that there be 3 major leagues, each with 8 teams, instead of the present setup of 2 leagues with 10 teams each. Their proposal would put teams in Buffalo, Milwaukee, Dallas, Fort Worth, and in their words, whichever other city is ready to qualify. Congressmen who joined in the request are Earl Cabell and James Wright of Texas, Henry Royce, Clemente Zablocki of Wisconsin, Thaddeus Dulce, and Richard McCarthy of New York. Cabell is from Dallas, and Rice is from Fort Worth. Royce and Zablocki are from Milwaukee. Dulce and McCarthy are from Buffalo. Along with the request was a statement in which the congressman said the owners of existing clubs can largely determine whether and when another club or clubs can enter the business of baseball. The statement went on to note, Congress and the nation are watching how the owners will use their privileges. Ford Frick said that he's received a copy of the resolution, but declared since it came in the form of a private letter, he'll answer privately before making a public comment. Is really starting to feel the pinch, and for one of the few times in history is a little jealous of San Francisco. With Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, and Elston Howard being shot down so often with injuries, there's hardly time to eulogize their general.
Gin and tonic, 23 3/8, up 1/4, seems safer than remaining unchanged at 23 and 1 life sentence. Santo Dominican Republic shared off in the collision. Now in England today, as I've said, any man who's not queer is not normal. Any man who marries a woman is queer. Mixed marriages never. Now Christine Keller is one of the McGuinness's ex-mysteries. Has done more damage to the British government than the Labour Party, the Mau Mau, or the IRA have done in the past 40 years.
Are aimed at coping with what it calls nuclear blackmail and threats of the United States. Johnson, addressing a meeting of editorial cartoonists at the White House, held 3 maids at gunpoint and proceeded to ransack the apartment.
McGuinness is the last of the freelance orators. McGuinness earns his living by breaking the law. It is against the law for me to ask you for money, but it's not against the law for you to give it to me, which of course is the same thing. Those of you who wish to contribute to my upkeep, I assure each and every one of you that I shall not insult any one of you by refusing to take money off you. If you have no money, but you would give it to me, if you had it, there's no need to walk away. Smile, smile. Don't let there be too many smiles, though. Then again, if you have money and you're enjoying listening to me and you give me nothing, let me give you a bit of gypsy advice. When you get to a road, look left, look right, and look left again.
For Red China rather than North Vietnam. Johnson, addressing a meeting of editorial cartoonists at the White House, held 3 maids at gunpoint and presented him with a 3-foot coat made from the air or from the ground. There had been speculation that when Red China was ready to explode,
precaution at least, be introduced to the subject of your spite and
The
venom.
president added, on trial for perjury for allegedly lying to a grand jury about the Duncan parking meter union and helping in jewelry.
He was illiterate. He could not read. He could not write. They taught him to read and write in the charge room, and then they broke his neck. And what did you do about it? What did you do?
Song and thus made the Chinese Communists the fifth nuclear power. Officials said it's 3 by the Brooklyn Army Defense Provincial Capitals.
Fiddling England. What did you do the other day in the Daily Express, Lord?
Education and labor. The consuls in Washington are showing interest about Scrivain's getting the money was made by Gittleson to form on a textile factory on the outskirts of Saigon. That daring attack mounted by guerrillas masquerading as South Vietnamese Marines.
Best court of law. The solution to a cancer is to cut it out. The solution to tyranny is to oppose it. Sitting down, lying down, fighting, standing, running, jumping. By all means, for the state torments you by all means. Don't you call me Mr. Webster. You've got nothing on me. Webster has no creed. I believe in nothing except the reality with which I am confronted, understanding it and dealing with it in terms of my personality. Webster doesn't mind people disagreeing with him. It would be almost impossible to expect them to agree with him. You would have to be as intelligent as him. Webster doesn't mind if somebody's a Christian. Webster
Got the money. Now southwest of Saigon, a battalion of guerrillas pinned down Vietnamese troops with small arms fire. 15 government soldiers
begun to live yet.
security of their motherland and world peace.
One spot in the sky. Children are and the son John Stone Williams, but they also have 2 straight.
Reliable and the assortment of viscounts and barons listened, but no action was taken.
You can hear Webster's voice before anyone else's, whatever gate you come in, even if he's standing right over here in the open. What can you get off him? I don't know. He's got a tall platform. That's a help. And also some of the speakers are paid to hold meetings on very low platforms under the trees by the queers. You can use a crowd like that to satisfy their clumsy lust. Webster's platform is above suspicion. What can you get off him? Listen on. Your mind's in a mental cemetery, Webster was saying. That's why you've got peace of mind. Now, these experiments started not on tape recorders, but on paper. In 1959, Brian Geisen said that writing is 50 years behind painting, and applied the montage technique to words on a page. And this technique had already been used in painting at that time for 50 years. It was, in fact, kind of old hat in painting. Brian copied out phrases from newspapers and magazines, then took a scissors and cut these selections into pieces and rearranged the fragments at random. And these cut-up experiments appeared in Minutes to Go in 1959. When you experiment with cut-ups over a period of time, you find that some of the cut-ups and rearranged text seem to refer to future events. I cut up an article written by John Paul Getty and got, "It's a bad thing to sue your own father." This was a rearrangement and wasn't in the original text. And a year later, one of his sons did sue him. I mean, it's just purely extraneous information. It meant nothing to me. I had nothing to gain on either side. We had no explanation for this at the time. It just suggesting the press, when you cut into the present, the future leaks out. But we simply accepted it and continued the experiments. The next step was cut-ups on the tape recorder, and Brian was the first to take this obvious step. Now, the first tape recorder cut-ups were a simple extension of cut-ups on paper.
You record, there are many ways of doing these, but here's one way. You record, say, 10 minutes on the recorder. Then you spin the reel backwards or forwards, just like that, without recording. Stop at random and cut in a phrase. Now, of course, when you've cut in that phrase, you've wiped out what's ever there, and you have a new juxtaposition. Now, how random is random? We know so much that we don't consciously know that perhaps the cut-in was not random. The operator, on some level, knew just where he was cutting in. As you know, on some level, exactly where you were and what you were doing 10 years ago at this particular time. But you couldn't, most of you couldn't, there are a few freaks that can, make that knowledge consciously available. And the same way, while you're doing the tape, on some level, you know just exactly where your words are. So cut-ups put you in touch with what you know and do not know that you know. Now, of course, this procedure on the tape recorder produces new words by altered juxtaposition, just as new words are produced by cut-ups on paper. Well, we went on to exploit the potentials of the tape recorder, cut up, slow down, speed up, run backwards, inch the tape, that means work it back and forth across the tape head, play several tracks at once, cut back and forth between two recorders. Now, here are some tapes which Brian made with all the technical facilities of the BBC in London, and they show, I think, what can be done with a human voice and one phrase.
All active, calling all reactive agents. All active, calling all active agents, calling all active agents, calling all active agents, calling all agents reactive, calling all reagents active. All agents active, calling all agents reactive, calling re-all active agents, calling re-all agents active, calling reagents active, all, calling reactive, all agents, calling all reactive agents, calling active, all reagents, calling agents, all reactive, agents active, calling all reactive, calling agents, calling, re-all calling active agents, re-all active agents calling, re-all agents active calling, re-all calling active agents, agents calling all reactive, agents calling re-all active, agents calling active all re-agents, calling all active re-agents, calling reactive all agents, calling active re-all. Reactive agents all calling, reactive agents all calling, reactive calling agents all. Recalling all active agents, recalling active agents all, recalling agents active all.
Rose Bill, up in the lake.
How to do it? Jimmy.
Overturn Billy.
Rose Bill.
Overturn Bill.
Over the stale warning. The stale to the beginning. There was no Ianam will warning. The stale your free. And Bill free. And Bill bound him free. Your free. And Billy well exactly. In the desolate mountain. There was no warning. The stale your free. And Bill free. And Bill bound him warning. And the bound him warning. The
Will.
smell of late Bill bound him warning. The stale your free. And Bill free. And Bill bound him free. Your free. And Billy well exactly. In the desolate mountain. There was no warning. The stale your free. And Bill free. And Bill bound him warning. And Bill bound him warning. The
Will.
smell of late Bill bound him
Bill, up in the lake.
How to do it? Jimmy.
Overturn Billy.
Rose Bill.
Overturn Bill.
Overturn. How to do it? Dreams of Billy. Bill bound him warning. the stale Samia, the dreams of Billy, the well, late more bound and morning, the well, smell of late more bound and morning, the smell of late more bound and morning,
Eon, smell of silver smoke of dreams,
the smoke,
Rose Bill, M13, in the late
smuckets, beyond the light, smucket, sun.
Now will you, it was no word,
Assure you,
Eon, silver smoke of dreams, in the late smucket,
ban, in the late,
till summer will,
exact,
the state, till summer will, flight, on them,
in the big light,
great exactly how to, great exactly how to, exactly how to, desolate markets, beyond bar wide in the desolate markets, beyond bar wide desolate markets, beyond bar wide.
No
You, it was no word,
assure
you, it was no word,
assure you,
it was no word, you, it was no word, Eon, you, it was no word, Eon, dream, Rose Bill, M13, Rose Bill, M13, up in the late
smuckets, beyond the bar,
light,
smuckets, beyond,
so summer will, exactly how to, exactly how to, exactly how to, exactly how to,
in the great,
exactly how, beyond bar wide desolate markets, beyond bar wide desolate markets, beyond bar wide in the desolate markets, beyond bar wide desolate markets, beyond bar wide in the desolate markets. Those, eight more,
and over to
will you, it was no word, Eon, M13, Rose Bill, M13, Rose Bill, 13, Bill, M13, late
smuckets,
in the late
smuckets,
up in the late smuckets, so summer will, to flight, to stay to flight, to stay warning, beginning, will, bound, warning, beginning, will, bound him, warning, beginning, will, bound him, sun.
I've known junkies who were waiters, I've known junkies who were bartenders, some cab drivers. They always lose their jobs sooner or later because the day comes when they don't have junk, when they don't make connections, and they don't go to work. How does a junkie feel towards other junkies? Well, the relations between junkies are usually very bad indeed. They all hate each other as a rule, and they're very sort of venomous towards each other, like queens. They're always talking about, oh, that one. He left me sick, or he beat me, or this or that. Well, they always have complaints about each other. Well, you say the relations between junkies are very similar to the relations of scarcity. Wherever there is scarcity, wherever there is not enough to go around, there is always sure to be very bad feelings. I've noticed this in Spanish families where people are very poor, that the brothers all absolutely hate each other because every extra person there that eats is taking food right out of the mouths of the other. Well, that's sort of the relation between junkies. Although they can't do without each other for scoring. But remember that a junkie has really no social relations. That is, he has no interest in other people except insofar as they contribute to his supply. That is, if he has junk, he's quite content to be alone. Junkies have no interest in sex, and they have no interest in other people except as suppliers of junk. None whatever.
Lock them out and block the door, bar them out forevermore. Knock them out. Lock is mine and door is mine. 3 times 3 to make up 9. Change the lock and change the door. Smear them out forevermore. Curse, go back. Curse, go back. Back with double pain and lack. Curse, go back. Curse, go back. Back with double fear and black. Silver arrow through the night. Silver arrow, take thy flight. Silver arrow, seek and find. Cursing heart and cursing mind.
The present time exercise and doing several things at once. There's a plane overhead, and I just play part of an old tape here while I got Mr. Peter Dahl out of the
From the flesh works of minerals. My head will crystal.
I walked without thinking the way a horse will and came to the Chinese
The cabin looks like a Chinese laundry.
And that appears to be the electronic control packet.
What are you thinking of? Even a recruit should know better than to enter a cell alone and be a prisoner.
2 deep holes into the surface of the moon. And you just heard Jim Irwin there saying he's taking the PSE out, the seismic, the classic seismic, passive seismic experiment that is able to check on the slightest.
I never.
It's on the
Minerals. In the flesh works of minerals. In the sex rooms of minerals.
Nothing you can see. Nothing. Cowboys went to the beachhead with Gorilla Mary. There's still nothing on the tape. I said, hey Max, that's the kind of wearing I haven't done. Keep talking to me
mission control. 16. Not far at all. Walk without thinking.
Quite inexplicable material coming out. Okay. Working with the popular forces, they are the dumbest, laziest, weakest, most unpopular I have ever seen. Captain Carlton J. Holland, 36, made that comment in
What? 30 families are homeless in fires. 5 alarm fire. Police set out. Come on, open the soap ducats. Sure, who cares when you are through? How do you know this? Total 23. Fire. Factory that he was nowhere near. It smoldered. But it's now total 3. Fire. Factory that he was nowhere near. It smoldered. But it's now total 23. Apartment blast kills 20. Okay, I'm all through. Can't do another thing. 23 are killed, 5. I was in the toilet. The building put up in 1957 was part of the LaSalle Heights apartment. 700 families were living in the development. All the buildings in the area were vacated while firemen fought the flames. Witnesses said the blast lifted the roof high. It crashed into fire. Factory that he was nowhere near. It smoldered. But it's now total 23. Apartment blast kills 20. Okay, I'm all through. Can't do another thing. Dead fingers in smoke, pointing to Gibraltar. Inviting the Undertaker, number 1135, February 5, 1914. K.E. had promised exactly, day, the late papers. In incorrect dreams, Clinker is dead. Clinker is dead. My God, I had to send rockets. Mr. Martin, how did all this start? How did you get here in the first place? If you found conditions so distasteful here on planet Earth, why did you stay? Good questions, good questions, young man. Obviously, I am not omnipotent. My arrival here was an accident, a wreck. Ship came apart like a rotten undervest. The accident in which I lost my sight. I was the only survivor. The other members of the crew, well, you understand, sooner or later. So I decided to act sooner, and I have acted sooner ever since. If a man makes a certain amount of money by certain means, he will go on making more money by the same means, and so forth. Human activities are drearily predictable. It should now be obvious that what you call a reality is a function of these precisely predictable because pre-recorded human activities. Now, what could louse up a pre-recorded biologic film? Obviously, random factors. That is, someone cutting my word and image lines at a random. Mr. Martin, what sort of place did you people come from? What sort of place did we come from? Well, if you want the answer to that question, just look around, Buster. Just look around. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just heard an interview with Mr. Martin, sole survivor of the first attempt to send up a space capsule. Now you see me, now you don't. Mr. Martin has been called the man of 1,000 lies. Well, he didn't have time for 1,000, but I think he did pretty well in the time allotted. With his last mooch nickel, Burroughs sneaked off to the payphone and called the law of all the cheap, lousy tricks, Burroughs, to call the law on your old friends. We had a good thing here, Burroughs, good for another maybe 50,000 years, and you cheap little rat called the law, so now we all have to pay. How you ever got to that phone beats the shit out of me. We had you covered, pegged out, cooled, knocked out, blued, green, the lot. Where is Mary Cook? Who let this little bastard get to that phone? Of all the cheap tricks, Burroughs, of all the lousy, grassy rat tricks, with your last mooch nickel from Geisen, Burroughs called the law. So now we all have to pay. Smart little bastard stands there with his pockets inside out. Very funny, Burroughs, very funny. Sooner or later, some mark we thought we had cooled, or some little rat like Burroughs sneaks off and calls the heat on all of us. Now, Burroughs, you know why we never liked you. You guys, and what was wrong with both of you from the jump? Wrong bastards, wrong copper-loving bastards. Wise up the marks. Willie the rat has done it again. But how? Where was everybody when he sneaked off to that phone?